Really are much farther north, and even today, not a huge chance.
It's not a huge chance, and when you think about numbers like that, 12 to 15 inches, what would it take? A tropical system, and that is really.
You don't always want it all at once, though. Either,
it's
right?
true. That's true.
So you want it in little bits.
That's true, and we're not getting either. That's the point too. All right, look at this forecast. You've got Jacksonville. To place Jacksonville, you've got Florida. It's the northern east coast. Okay, you've got hit and miss showers and thunderstorms today, and then a pretty familiar forecast where it's dry. So as Jen mentioned, you may get a few showers today, but a lot of that is going to be focused in areas that have already seen it, and that includes in and around Tampa and Central Florida, Orlando. So even on into tomorrow. Here's where Chris is, Miami, and each day pretty much very slight chance for showers and thunderstorms even as we get into Friday, and it's that midsection right here that's going to get the lion's share of the rainfall on the order of 2 to 3 inches. And Jen, excuse me, we're hoping that Miami may be in that up to an inch kind of category.
All right, that would be.
So yes, you had the storms, you had some damage with it, but the price to pay for what is really now a beautiful setup to the next few days. So we had the cold front out ahead of it, those southerly winds, dew points into the 60s and 70s. That's the humidity, that's the air you can wear. The front comes through, the storms come through, and it's like a clean sweep. You have dew points back down into the 60s and even some 50s there, and that's a whole nother season almost. It feels spectacular. So as we have the high pressure building in, that's going to keep the drier air mass in place. So you're not going to see a humidity off the charts in the short term, and you're certainly not going to see terrible weather coming in for the next few days. And that's going to keep this forecast looking like perfection for the New York metro area. Plenty of sunshine, temps in the mid 80s. And Jen, you know, as we get into the weekend, a lot of colleges and universities in the Northeast going to start welcoming back their students.
That's
great
right.
move in. All right, let's get talking about the severe weather threat for today, and we have it in northern Minnesota, Grand Forks to Fargo, over towards Duluth. But what's interesting here is the timing and just how explosive the thunderstorm potential here is going to be later on. You see a pretty good cluster going north of the border here, but the conditions are coming together so that later on this afternoon and evening, I want you to keep your eye right in through here as I put the computer model into motion and just how quickly and robustly these thunderstorms get going. Right about 4 o'clock, boom, into eastern North Dakota, and they slide off to the southeast through northern Minnesota. So there's a big hail risk, a big wind damage threat here, although the tornado threat relatively low. Don't want to discount that, but regardless, if you're in these areas, north of Minneapolis looking pretty good right now as far as the severe outlook for the rest of the day, but northern Minnesota really going to be under the gun later on this evening. Jen?
All right, so then we have the dry situation in the west. And while there have been a few thunderstorms, for the most part, any storms have had some dry lightning, which has started fires. And the fire situation is certainly
where the fires are right now, and consider where we're seeing the drought. It makes sense, right? You have the West Coast, the latest drought update. In fact, 27% in severe drought. But also notice right in here, I want to keep your eye there, and where we have some of the active fires. We're starting to see some become an issue in parts of the Carolinas, but of course across the West, where there are 49 uncontained fires. And Jen, we're in the running so far this year for the number of acreages burned here compared to a whole year, 2011.
2011 was a big year. That's when we had the Bastrop fire in Texas. Coming up, we've got more on the storms and the impacts across.
That would be nice, right? A nice little gust front to drop the temperatures 30 degrees. But, you know, it's southeast Texas that really overall baking in those high temperatures. Houston, in fact, reached 106 degrees yesterday. It was their 6th day in a row of 100 plus. So they're concerned, and certainly if you have to work outside like construction crews, they are really fun. It's got to be hard to deal with it. I mean, they've got the gear and the shirts and then the vests and everything else to protect them from any workplace danger along with that heat. It's just incredible. So the strong high pressures building in, and it's basically like a heat pump but it's also keeping the air mass in place. So you're not seeing a real big change up, no cool air moving in. And it's also spreading. It's building to the north and to the west. So we're going to eat up a lot more territory that's going to start feeling the heat there too as that ridge builds. The heat advisories are in place. We have Austin to Houston to Lake Charles as well. We know what that means. That heat and humidity combination going to make it feel a lot hotter, but some places are already on the thermometer hot enough. But you factor that in, and that forecast for tomorrow that feels like temperature 108 in Houston, 99 in Dallas. I know, Jen, you were saying that
it's better.
It's better. It's not that bad.
Practically average.
Yeah, it's practically practically average, but yeah, it's all relative, right? The dew points are into already the mid-70s in Houston, so it's not going to take much to send that heat index to a level that is really, really tough to take, and it's consecutive hours of that too. Here's a stat for you: 31 consecutive days at 95 plus in Houston. The record is 41 days. Okay, that was in August of '93. The average per year is 42. So you do the math here, and we're getting pretty close to that record from August of '93, because you look at the forecast. Consecutive is one thing, total is another, right? So we have the line here at 95. We have a few more days ahead of us, maybe technically a break there. So we'll have to see how much longer we can continue as.
All right, well, you know who can tell us about this in the Colorado Springs area?
My goodness.
So I think it's, you know, all of the rain sort of cumulative that added to this.
Yeah, and it's been pretty stormy in the southwest too. You know, we've been talking about the monsoon. Look at this. This is from Phoenix yesterday. A massive dust storm blanketed the city. This after thunderstorm outflow pushed the dust up, but you see very clearly there's the edge of the dust. This is not necessarily that rain shaft. It is the dust cloud moving over the city. This is the vantage point from KPNX, via KPNX, and a helicopter. And our own Stephanie Abrams happened to be on approach into Phoenix and snapped this picture out of her window, which is why meteorologists love the window seat. You've got the engine here, and it looks like the top of the thunderstorm that ended up producing that dust storm, that haboob, was right there. Just an amazing shot in a perspective, and I know it delayed her flight. Yeah,
she didn't know that that was causing, I think, at the time, a dust storm, but she saw it and thought it was fascinating. And yeah, the picture.
There you go, and you got it from two perspectives there. On approach, again, it was enough to delay it. And take a look at this. This is out of Mesa, Arizona, ground level shot of what it looks like to be in it. And it's one thing to see it approaching in this magnificent wide shot, and then you look at this. And it's windy, 60, 70 mile per hour winds possible, and all of that dust. Yeah, the visibility cut way down. Sometimes it looks like it's nighttime. Yeah. In some of these dust storms.
Honestly, it looks like rain.
Yeah,
but
it does.
Dust. Wow.
Creates quite a mess. More storms possible, by the way, today.
All right, we're going to talk tropics next. We got Hawaii breathing a little bit easier right now as we track a tropical